Welcome back to a chapter day. Happy Tuesday. We are moving on with our week, and I pray that you are being blessed each and every step of the way. Today we are going to be reading Psalms chapter 45. There are 100 and plus Psalms, so we are just like to the top, first third of the Psalms. So let's go on. Again, David did not write all of the Psalms. I don't know if the Psalms that were not actually mentioning that he wrote them were written for or about him, but we have a lot of these Psalms being from the chief musicians of Korah, and Korah I know was one of the priests, one of Aaron's sons. So I'm not sure if, it pertains to David at all, but here we go. My heart is inditing a good matter. I speak of the things which I have made touching the king. My tongue is the pen of a ready writer. Thou art fairer than the children of men. Grace is poured into thy lips. Therefore God hath blessed thee forever. Gird thy sword upon thy thigh, O most mighty, with thy glory and thy majesty. And in thy majesty ride prosperously, because of truth and meekness and righteousness. And thy right hand shall teach thee terrible things. Now, terrible in this sense means it's good, it's cool, it's amazing. Verse 5, thine arrows are sharp in the heart of the king's enemies, whereby the people fall under thee. So what this sounds to me is like maybe a psalm that was, psalms were really prayers that were written, or songs, and then they were, however they did it, singing it, or I'm not sure. But it sounds like maybe the priests, or they were glorifying the king, and I'm not sure if it's the king literally who was David then, or if it was God the king, because some places we will hear the word God mentioned. Verse 6, thy throne, O God, is forever and ever. The scepter of thy kingdom is a right scepter. Thou lovest righteousness and hatest wickedness. Therefore God thy God hath anointed thee with the oil of gladness above thy fellows. All thy garments smell of myrrh and aloes and cassia, out of the ivory palaces whereby they have made thee glad. King's daughters were among thy honorable women. Upon thy right hand did stand the queen in gold of Ophir. Hearken, O daughter, and consider, and incline thine ear. Forget also thine own people and thy father's house. So here in these 10 verses, I'm hearing a mixture of things. I'm hearing first that someone is being praised for being a mighty king. And to me, it sounds like a human person. So I'm thinking this may have been written about David. Then from verse 6, go on to 8. I'm hearing God in heaven being praised. And then from verses 8 to 10, it sounds like a king, an earthly king again. So I'm not sure if this is going back and forth with a comparison from the earthly to the heavenly, but then, I'm not quite sure. Verse 11, so shall the king greatly desire thy beauty, for he is thy Lord, and worship thou him. And the daughter of Tyre shall be there with a gift, even the rich among the people shall entreat thy favor. The king's daughter is all glorious within. Her clothing is of wrought gold. She shall be brought unto the king in raiment of needlework. The virgins, her companions that follow her, shall be brought unto thee. With gladness and rejoicing shall they be brought. They shall enter into the king's palace. Instead of thy fathers shall be thy children, whom thou mayest make princes in all the earth. I will make thy name to be remembered in all generations. Therefore shall the people praise thee forever and ever. Amen. So the last 10 verses or so, it sounded like a literal earthly king talking about the daughters of other kings that were brought to that king. or comparing the king's daughter to something beautiful. Like I said, I am just trying to reason in my mind from what I've read. So that's the end of Psalms 45. I won't read, or maybe I could read 46, because really 47 and 48 are so short. I can read them together. So okay, it's only 11 verses. I'm going to read Psalms 46. It's one of those psalms that I like, and that some of the verses really have pertained to me at times, and that I have said, you know, I have gone to this psalm there at times when I have needed to read this psalm. So let's go on to Psalms 46. So I'm reading 2 today. Okay. God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. We know this. And if we remember that, we will, anyway, I'll keep reading. Therefore will we not fear, though the earth be removed, and though the mountains be carried into the midst of the sea, though the waters thereof roar and be troubled, though the mountains shake with the swelling thereof. There is a river, the streams whereof shall make glad the city of God, the holy place of the tabernacles of the Most High. God is in the midst of her. She shall not be moved. God shall help her, and that right early. So they're talking about the city of God, which I believe was either Jerusalem or Judah. They're talking about God being a refuge and strength. If we know, a refuge is a place you go to for safety. When they're having natural disasters, where do people go? They seek shelter in a refuge. When people are in a war situation, they go to a place of refuge. And God shelters us. God strengthens us, because you are in such a terrible situation because of the predicament you're facing. God removes the fear from whatever is taking place. Even though mountains are being cast into the middle of the sea, and that must be awful and awesome at the same time to see. But God is going to bring us through. Okay, verse 6. The heathen raged, the kingdoms were moved. He uttered his voice, the earth melted. The Lord of hosts is with us. The God of Jacob is our refuge. We need to remember that many times we go through rough times. Verse 8. Come, behold the works of the Lord, what desolations he hath made in the earth. He maketh wars to cease unto the end of the earth. He breaketh the bow and cutteth the spear in sunder. He burneth the chariot in the fire. Be still and know that I am God. Oh my gosh, this is one of those verses. Be still and know that I am God. I hear some people say, when you ask God for something, you got to get up and go get moving. Why did you ask God for that? I know that sometimes we can do so much, but sometimes, you know what? If we go back into the New Testament, when those children of Israel were coming through the wilderness, they needed to just stand and see the salvation of God. And sometimes we need to do that. We want to go fight because it's in us. Stand still and know that I am God. I will be exalted among the heathen. I will be exalted in the earth. The Lord of hosts is with us. The God of Jacob is our refuge. Amen, amen, and amen again. I'm telling you, there are some things going on in this world, in this country, and people are becoming fearful. People aren't sure what's going on. Believe you me, it is that we are living in a sinful world. I don't think some of the things that are happening now are any worse. I know we have times, we have read verses in the Bible where terrible things will happen. There shall be times such as never was. We don't know if that's now or that's already happened, because there's been some atrocities. What will you call World War I? Civil War. Times before, even when, I mean, this world has seen some horrific things, okay? And for us to expect, I don't know what. If it's going to be coming on us, then we need to be praying and asking God for the strength to be faithful. If it has passed us, then we know we need to be looking forward to the coming of Christ, because it's nearer than when we first believed. whichever way it is, we need to be ready. That's what we need to be focused on. God will take care of the rest. Do you think we can control anything that goes on in the world? We can't even control when we go to sleep or wake up. We can't even control our breathing, our winking. What can we control? But yet we sit and we worry about things that we should do, and we just get ourselves stressed out, stressed beyond limits. And there is a God in heaven that created this world in 6 days. And yet for all we are fussing over one little item as to what we should do about some little nonsense that we can't even handle anyway. God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in time of trouble. Therefore we will not fear though the earth be removed. Have you seen that yet? Have you seen the earth mountains cast into the sea? No, we haven't seen that yet. So what are we fearful for? Hold fast. God is working. If you're walking with God, God is working with you. And God will keep you. And anything that takes place in your life, God has allowed it. Okay? That's why back in the Bible they would say, and God sent it, and God did it, because God is in charge. And if you know you're walking with God, you need to trust. And I'm saying this for me primarily, okay? So let's continue our week trusting God, regardless of what takes place. Keep trusting, praying, trusting, and waiting. So, and listening, because that's how our faith grows. Until our next reading, take care. Bye.